listening to Ambitious AF, a podcast that will help you level up, find positivity, and put yourself on top right now and every day for the rest of your life. I'm your host, Caroline Lewis, and each week I will bring you a guest or thought that will motivate you to get out of bed every morning with the willingness to succeed. Being ambitious means you are proud of who you are and everything you've accomplished. Only you can make that happen, though. But with the help of this podcast, you will rise to the top. You will find success. You will believe in yourself and manifest happiness. And most importantly, you will become ambitious AF. I know you are eager to begin, so let's get started. We are live. Awesome. Okay, I am going to switch back over so I can see you as I'm talking to you, but welcome everyone. Special guest. So I asked Ilana to come on to Ambitious AF podcast because I'd love to interview her. She and I met on Instagram, power of social media. I love meeting all of you amazing boss babes on there. It's such an amazing connection platform that sometimes I'm just in awe at all of you strong, successful women that I can meet. So I talked to her and I asked her if she wanted to do a podcast episode. And then we kind of realized, well, why not shoot it live in the group? So for anyone coming in, let me see. I can pull up my phone if you do have comments. And then that way we will try to answer them. But if we don't, then we will answer them after this episode. So welcome, Ilana, as I'm finding the page. How about you introduce yourself? I'll give you a quick little introduction. So like I said, I met Ilana on Instagram, and she is a holistic nourishment coach, and she's been practicing for over 15 years, which is absolutely amazing, and then switched over to mainly coaching and has had that business for the past 5 years. So she's well versed in super knowledgeable. So I'm excited to have her on the podcast and just talk about owning businesses and just being an ambitious entrepreneur. So welcome, Ilana. If you don't mind just saying hi and letting us know a little bit more about you.
Amazing. Thank you so much for, reaching out and inviting me. And I so love and appreciate that because I'm always that person who wants to collaborate and do podcasts and all that stuff. So yes. I love it. So my name is Ilana. I am... Oh my goodness. It's been a long journey, but basically, my story ties so much into who I am and what I do. I feel like there's no real beginning. I've been on this long journey. And for me, it's all been around my health. Mm-hmm. And so I really, developed this business around my way of life as a result of burning out for the first time in my early 20s. I think I was around 24. And one day I just my body just said, nope, this is not going to happen. Yeah. I woke up with my mouth full of canker sores. I couldn't speak. I had classic B deficiency symptoms, super lethargic. I knew intuitively that this was a moment mm-hmm. where I needed to just something needed to change, right? I didn't know what. I didn't know what I needed to do, but it was an amazing opportunity because I woke up literally with my mouth full of canker sores. I couldn't speak because it was so painful. So all I could do was just sit and listen to all the noise that was going on in my head. And at that time, 15 years ago, there was no social media. Mm-hmm. There was no Instagram. There was none of this. There was very little in terms of information, communication around, healthy living. Mm-hmm. I remember back then, I grew up vegetarian. Being vegetarian was really out there. It was really weird. Right? Remember those days?
Yeah.
And I'm a lot older than you. So I you were a lot younger back then, but I just knew I needed to do something. So I went back to school to study holistic nutrition to mm-hmm. really just figure my stuff out for me. There was no vision of one day becoming an entrepreneur. If you knew me back then, I was a very different person. Mm-hmm. Super introvert. I had no self-confidence, no entrepreneurial spirit in me whatsoever. I never dreamed of anything like this. Yeah. But I just knew I needed to heal my body. So that's what I did. And I got my health back on track. And at the same time, I discovered this huge passion for wanting to help other people on their journey. And in particular, women, and in particular, women around eating disorders. And I mean, then we weren't talking about mental health and body positivity, but that was really kind of how it all started. And so I started my career back then, but not having any clue like what I was doing. There was first of all, there were no jobs waiting for people like me. Like you couldn't just graduate and then get hired, right? As a holistic nutritionist. So you had to just like totally make something happen on your own without any precedent, right? So it took me a long time. Like I didn't just, finish school and then all of a sudden I'm this like, entrepreneur. Like it's taken me the 15 years to really like figure it out. And I'm still trying to figure it out. I'm still trying to figure out, like what my voice is and where I fit in and who I serve better and who my ideal client is. Cause I think it's always evolving. But that basically in a nutshell is who I am and kind of what has led me to this point.
Yeah. I love it. I mean, everyone, right, has their like why start this specific business. And I feel like yours is a lot more specific around like holistic nourishment. I would have I wouldn't know at all where to start. I just know like these things feel good in my body and these things don't. But then you guys come around and you're like, well, actually, this is why it feels good. And if you want to feel even better, here's something that you should start implementing. But I think to kind of touch on the point around, you had this whole like realization of, which I think a lot of entrepreneurs have, like, I don't want to live this life the way it's going right now. Not to say that it's horrible, but I could do something different. I could do something better. And then, also I could help a lot of other people along the way. Because entrepreneurs, I feel like we're nothing but we're giving. Like that's why we create these businesses. We see a problem in the market. And then if it's around something that we have interest in, we're always like, well, I could make that better. I could find a solution. I could help that person out. But especially in your industry, because food, body image, all of that mental health, that all ties together. And it is a huge aspect that if you don't have it under control, right? If you don't feel good, it is hard to live any life that you really want, because you're just in a constant state of, I feel like crap. And because of so, mentally I feel like crap because I'm beating myself up because I feel like crap. I mean, I definitely have had the health things, especially out of college, which was a couple years ago. I'm almost 30, so I don't know how old you are, but I don't think I'm too that much younger than you. But I'm 29 in February, so I've got a year till 30. But I don't know if it was like eating like crap or just your body changing. But when you don't feel good, it's like your mental state, you can't get out of it. So I think with you just like waking up and realizing that and literally not being able to, I can't even imagine the amount of pain that you were in when you had those canker sores, but just being like, nope, I'm not living like this. I got to make something change. And then along the way, I'm going to help impact other people too. So
yeah. And just to backtrack a little bit, I actually had years of an eating disorder prior to all of this. I was actually a ballerina, and that was my whole, vision and purpose in life, right? The point of almost becoming professional. So talk about, like being physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually in a really unhealthy place for many years, which is kind of what triggered all of this to happen. And, the interesting thing is that we all have some kind of story or relationship with either our bodies or mental health or our health in general, right? And so I think that it's just so important. And you said it, like if you don't feel good, right, it's so hard to show up and to do whatever it is you do, right? Just as a human being, right? Just to get through the day. Because I can remember days where it was a struggle to get through the day because I was constantly not feeling good.
Yeah. Well, and also it's like no matter how hard you try, because you keep trying, and sometimes people are just confused as to why am I not getting what I'm imagining in life? but they don't really even look at like their overall health, inner and outer. And sometimes people don't even associate that with abundance, right? Just like having this full abundance and living the life that they've imagined. They don't really come back to health, but it's amazing when you tweak just a couple of things, whether it's what you're eating or what supplements you're lacking and you put them in, or I should say vitamins or, minerals you're lacking, what you put them in. But then also kind of like pinpointing, this makes me feel bloated. Bloated equals brain fog. Brain fog equals I can't be productive. That's why my business is potentially failing, right? So it's like it's just this cycle. And people like you kind of help those understand that, okay, well, we need to kind of track backwards and see what your health is like, because that is actually why you're not seeing the abundance that you've wanted for yourself at this day and age.
Right. And I think too, right, especially for women entrepreneurs, right, who are so driven and goal-oriented and hardworking, and like, especially when you're starting something or just so, and I the same thing.
Oh no.
Different areas of your life.
Yeah, hold on one second. Okay, there we go. It was cutting in and out just a little bit, but yes, no, I agree. Also, no matter what stage you are in entrepreneurship, there's always something that is either evolving and changing. And like, to your point, even originally of, yes, you've been in business for a really long time, but you have to evolve as your clients evolved, which sometimes could equal more stress. And then when your body's stressed, you tend to do things a little bit more unhealthy, potentially, right? If you're not in that good mental state, or if you're easy to grab that bag of chips when you know that like that destroys your stomach or something like that, which then just like ruins your day. So it's like kind of like it's not a constant, but if you can develop, it's almost like a health routine, so that when merging markets or your business changes, or you're getting, say you get like a bad client review or something like that, instead of stressing your body out, a way to that you can implement to kind of erase the stress, so that your health status doesn't get burnt out or doesn't default, I guess, or become worse because of whatever that situation it was happening. So I think essentially what I was trying to get my point across is that, especially as entrepreneurs, just because, and not to say that a 9 to 5, so not to say like if you are working a regular job, that you're not as stressed because, right, you have demands from your boss or your coworkers or anything like that. But when you are the owner of your business, when you are an entrepreneur, it's just a constant up and down of the market, of the clients, of the product, of the people, of your business in general. So it's just like a constant fluctuation, and can be super stressful. But it also cannot be, depending on how you handle things, which also comes back into mentally and on a health level, how you're handling all of that around you too. But I wanted to kind of touch base, which I can tell you're a super ambitious person, and almost everyone that I've interviewed on here, everyone's always has that huge ambition to succeed, but also to help their clients succeed, or help their audience succeed. So we'll just kind of use the term audience. So when it comes to ambition, so what to you defines ambition or being an ambitious person?
It's so funny because I've truly started to understand that ambition is a beautiful thing, whereas I used to shy away from it so much, right? Because of myself being so insecure growing up, having years of that eating disorder, not knowing where I fit in the world in general. And I just, it wasn't until recently that I really just started to level up and really started to lean into being more ambitious, right? And like stepping outside my comfort zone on a daily basis and making that like one of my daily goals, right? Is to really just push the boundaries, right? Because I think when you said it earlier, if nothing changes, nothing changes. And if you don't, create the opportunities to grow and to develop and push yourself, then you're always going to stay exactly where you are, right? And I lived like that for many years, especially growing up and just being so in my head about everything and just not like I honestly, ambition was never a word that I would have used to describe myself until very recently. So I think that it's a beautiful thing when you, as women in particular, I know that we kind of grow into our confidence.
Yeah.
Right? Like the older we get, the more confident we become, right? The more experience we have, the more self-worth we develop. And with that comes ambition, right? And I think it's an amazing thing. I think it's extremely challenging. Like I'm a mom as well. So trying to make it all happen and make it all work. There's some days where it works and there's some days where, it's a challenge. And my kids are now almost 10 and 7. And so they're going through a different stage now. So I have to show up for them in a very different way, still being super ambitious. And I also work like on top of my business. I do work as well. So it's just trying to, get all the pieces together.
Yeah. And that's funny that everyone defines ambition a little bit different, but essentially it always comes back to like having that drive. But then also I love how you said kind of like taking a step out of your comfort zone, right? And like going after something and doing something maybe a little bit different. But I do think, as we age, normally we become more ambitious, we become more confident because we see life, we experience life a little bit more. But I also think with the right, and it's funny because, and I didn't really think about all of like this connecting together, but I'm not, like I said, I am not a health coach or anything like that. I just know when my body feels on point, my business is on point. So I eat very like specific throughout the work week because I know if I don't, then I get brain fog and I can't perform like I need to, back-to-back client calls and everything. And I think the ambition, the energy, because people always ask me like, how are you so energetic when you're like back-to-back so much? Like, why is this? And I always go back to, I drink a lot of water and I eat really freaking healthy during the work week. And it always comes back to health. Like health is always the first thing. And then also second to first, it's a very strong tie, is like your mentality, right? And just being able to, when you feel good and look good, you obviously naturally have that more confidence, but then you also have the more positive mental capabilities to continue throughout your day, to continue through the success that you want to see. But it always comes back to your healthy habits because healthy habits also create your mental morning routines or your daily routines or your affirmations or anything like that. And those two together, without that, you, in my opinion, you can't have a successful business because they're always going to be blocking you. And I'm a big law of attraction person. So when you have something like that blocking, and especially if you don't even know about it, you're like very confused as to why your business isn't growing the way it should be, or why you're not connecting with your clients or anything like that. But even going back originally, like I sometimes I don't think people associate success with, I need to get my health in order. So that was a little spiel, but.
Oh, I love it. And it's so true. Like it's the same for me, right? When I'm not on top of my clean eating and my healthy habits and my morning routine and my workouts, I feel it just the same, right? Because we're all human and we're all experiencing it similarly, but differently. So yeah, it takes practice, right? It's that commitment to living your healthiest life and not just, physically, but also in terms of your relationships, in terms of your business, in terms of your own just sense of, happiness. All of that takes work, right? And I find that health is typically the thing that we sacrifice the most, or it kind of gets the least importance until something happens, right? Until we get sick, or until there's a death in the family, right? And at that point, unfortunately, sometimes, you have to suffer a lot, or sometimes it's like it is really late in the game, right? So to be able to preventatively build those habits and create that lifestyle that supports this healthy living now and not waiting until something bad happens, I think is so important.
Yeah, I love that. So I guess to eventually wrap this up, but as someone who is either, I guess, a couple different ways. So if someone is wanting to start a business and or isn't seeing the success that they thought in their business at this point, and they're trying super hard, and they are probably most likely a little bit stressed out. So for you, what is that one piece of advice, or even something like a motto or something like that you constantly remind yourself to keep pushing forward, and advice for these people to be able to just develop a little bit better, whatever that better is, to be able to see more success in their life?
Okay, well, I can relate it specifically to me and to this year. I know 2020 has been a crazy year. I know that there's just been so much going on. And I know that everything that I know when it comes to what I just shared and healthy living and habits, especially for me, I really started to commit to my morning routine. I'd say about maybe 3 years ago, but seriously, this year, almost every single day. And on the days that I don't do it, it shows up. I'm not patient with my kids. I don't have as much gratitude, or I might not be as high vibe as I would like to be, right? So there's a definite direct connection. So I would say if somebody is, feeling stuck or frustrated or stressed, or they're not seeing the results, then it's an amazing opportunity to really focus on taking a look at how you're setting up your day, right? The morning routine. And there's so many books you can read. And for me, The Miracle Morning was the one that just changed the game for me, by Hal Elrod. I love that book. So start there. Start with something that's tangible that you can build on as a daily habit, because our habits, right, eventually become our behavior, and then that shapes who we are, right? So if something's not working, but you're not putting in that time for yourself, and it doesn't have to be hours of sitting in meditation, right? It's really, you can break it down and make it work for you. So start with that. That's been for me the biggest game changer. I would say number 2, really who you're surrounding yourself with. If you're I have no time or space or, patience for toxicity, negativity, people not, meeting me at where I want to be, then you need to find new people to hang with, because it's going to have such an impact, consciously or subconsciously, right? There is a direct impact. Yeah. And then I would say number 3, have fun. I've really focused on trying to be as real as possible and have fun. And there are moments for sure where this year it was so not fun, especially being in quarantine for months and months, or being in lockdown and having kids and having to now do homeschooling and still building my business, right? There were very stressful moments. Yeah. But I think that when you can find those small moments and opportunities in your day to have fun in whatever way that means to you, I think that really, people want to see that, and people are going to want to be around other people who are loving life and having fun, even though there's all this crazy stuff going on.
Yeah, no. Oh, I love those. And we actually have some people in the group watching. And I don't know if it's accurate, but I think there's 2 of them still on there potentially. So I hope they all got that for sure. But I know everyone listening to the podcast, you definitely have to listen to the end, because that was gold. I think I love the morning routine is literally everyone says it, but until you actually do it, it's yeah, now I know what they're talking about. My whole life totally changed. And the having fun part, that, and I haven't actually heard that in a while, but that is so freaking important, especially as an entrepreneur, because we just like work, and then we realize why things aren't happening the way they should. And it's because we're not allowing us to just giggle or sit down and binge watch Netflix or something like that. Like, we don't really give ourselves time to have fun, whatever that fun for you is. Play cards or play video games or listen to music or podcast or whatever it is, because we just have to think like, okay, I have to keep working and building my business, working and building my business. And then on top of that, when you have kids and quarantine and homeschooling, it's just like, whew, it's a lot. So awesome. Well, do you have anything else to say before we wrap up?
No, I think I pretty much said it. I just really hope to even like inspire if there's somebody, listening and in that place where they're feeling, stressed out, stuck on a hamster wheel, they don't know what to do. I really hope this inspires them to really, feel empowered to take ownership of their health and wellness, because it's up to each and every one of us to do that. Especially now with everything going on, like our health has never been more important than now. So really, this is the time to level up your health, and that's it.
Yeah, I love that. Wow, that was a great interview. So before we go though, if you want to just shout out wherever you hang out the most online, your socials or your website or anything like that, please let everyone know how they can find you or how they can interact with you more.
Yeah, totally. Just like we met on Instagram, you can find me. It's my name. It's Ilana.Gershon. It's super simple. You can send me a direct message, whatever. I'm always available to chat more. Yeah,
I love that. And I love that you do respond back and instead of leaving people hanging. So definitely go look her up on Instagram. And all right, so that is it. I will pause the recording and then end the live stream. Thanks everyone for tuning in live. To those that did, that was cool. I didn't know if anyone would or not, but we got some that got the interview live, and then we have some that will download and watch these or listen to these episodes later. So thank you so much again, Ilana, and I will talk to everyone soon. Bye. Thanks for listening to this episode. If you got some value or just feel fired up, I would love for you to take a screenshot and tag me in your Instagram stories. It's always so motivating to see you getting the inspiration you needed to level up for my podcast. I'm going to keep showing up and bringing my best self to these episodes, and I encourage you to do the same. If you think a friend or family member would enjoy this episode, I would love for you to share the ambition. I can't wait to chat next week, but until then, keep being ambitious AF.